Hey guys, welcome back to part two of your social media for e-commerce owners who do not have time. If you were here last week, I gave you guys a little bit of homework where I basically told you I need you to go out and figure out who your audience is, to figure out what their problems are, how you can solve them with your products, and we also want to understand your overarching goals. So are you looking to make X number of dollars in your business this year, or monthly, or quarterly? Are you looking to gain more exposure? Are you looking to actually make sales through social media? And once we have those answers, it's going to be a lot easier to basically execute on what we are going to talk about in part two today. So I hope you did your homework, and I'm sorry that this couldn't go live today, but I wanted to make sure. Even though I have about 6 inches of snow outside, you'll see that I'm actually in my home office today rather than the hotel simply because I can't leave. There's about 6 inches of snow outside, and we have about, I think, 6 to 10 more inches coming this week. So if you guys are also in the north and you feel my pain, we are all in this together. But we're going to go ahead and dive into today's training, and I'm going to upload it to a couple of different places. Obviously, if you guys have any questions while I am going through this and you are watching the replay of the video, please feel free to drop them in the comments of wherever you are seeing this video, whether it's on YouTube, whether you got it in an email, whether you are watching it on the Facebook group. No matter what, I will be able to respond to each of those accordingly. So feel free to drop them in the comments before we get started. All right, so let's go ahead. Hopefully, like I said, you did your homework. And by the way, if you didn't, that's fine. We're still going to go over it today, and you still have the ability to basically take the homework from last week and then pair it with the training from this week. But I also added something into the Facebook group for each of you that I wanted to let you guys know about if you weren't already familiar with it. I added it to the featured section of the Facebook group as well. So it should be really easy to find, but it was basically my questions that I ask myself and or I give to my one-on-one clients if they are looking to figure out who their audience is at their core so that we know how to sell to them. So if you want that, make sure that you're in the Facebook group. I think it's called Etsy Sellers EverBee Members, something of that nature. So look us up on Facebook if you're not already there. And in the featured section, you're going to be able to find that there. Okay. So with that said, if you did the homework or if you're going to do it after this, let's go ahead and dive into the remainder of the latter half of our training from last week. So what I wanted to kind of show you really quickly, last week we talked a little bit about the goals. So what are your overarching goals as it relates to the places you want to be? Because like I mentioned here, you don't have to be everywhere. You just have to be in the right wheres. And what I mean by that is which platform or platforms you decide to move forward with based on your, again, business goals, business needs, business lifestyle, because that's really important too. Do you want to be live every Thursday? Maybe not. Maybe that's not something that makes sense for your business. Maybe you don't want to post like pens collectively, like 30 to 50 of them a month. Maybe that does not fit your goals, does not fit your lifestyle. So you should have answered all of those questions last week through the homework, or this week if you're joining us for the first time here. But we want to make sure we figure those out. And then basically what I did was I answered a couple of different platforms, like what they are, what they bring to the table for you to help also meet those goals. Okay, so right here we'll see we have Instagram is really, really good for brand awareness, storytelling, and engaging with followers. So I like to do a little bit of a split here where I'll do reels about 70 to 80%. And when we say reels, we just mean like videos. So if you can go live on Instagram, also totally perfect. Carousels are going to be those multi-slide things. So I personally like to have my carousels be like no less than 5 slides, but that's even a little bit smaller than what I would be comfortable with, simply because we like to have meat and potato slides, which I'll talk about in a second. And then I want to have a hook slide and a call to action slide. So if I have 5 carousel slides, for example, I have a hook, 3 meat and potatoes right here, and then a call to action slide. So technically we are losing 2 slides. That's why I like to go a little bit higher than 5, but we'll get into that in just a second. Also, obviously on Instagram, static is technically, if you guys are not familiar with this, if you're as old as I am, you know that Instagram started as static. It was really just a photo sharing app back in the day. And then obviously they introduced video, they introduced live, they introduced multi-slide photo things like carousels, and then obviously Reels came out, and it's just, Reels are longer now, which we'll talk about in a second too. So there's been so many changes to the platform, and we have to be able to kind of morph alongside it and be flexible as it's being changed. Okay. What I want to say here from experience is shares and saves are very, very good for you. Those are the things that are going to basically tell the Instagram algorithm that you're doing something right. So any type of call to action that you can do to incentivize those kinds of things is going to be really helpful. Then we have TikTok. TikTok's a little weird right now, as we all know. I have a funny story actually. So accidentally, I was trying to clean out the storage on my phone because, I make a lot of videos on my phone. So I was trying to clean the storage out, and I accidentally offloaded TikTok, which I thought meant that I was like removing the data, like that, like anything that was stored, any drafts or whatever that I had in TikTok would be removed. No, no, no. The whole app got deleted. So actually, I don't have access to TikTok right now, and I haven't for the past 3 weeks. So it's kind of weird because that's actually where my business really started. And when I started coaching and when I started, selling digital products was really on TikTok. And it could have been a scary thing last year. Had this happened, the app got deleted. And if you guys are not familiar with it, you're not able to re-download the app right now if you live in the United States because of everything that's going on with the potential ban, the looming ban that's coming potentially. So if this would have happened a year ago, it would have been really scary. It would have taken a hit to my business, hands down. It would have been like one of the worst things that could happen. But because I knew that a ban was potentially on the horizon, because I knew that this could be something that is gonna happen one of these days, I want to protect myself. I want to protect my business, and I want to protect my people. So I did my due diligence for the past year to move people over to other locations or just spread my business out in other locations. So what I mean by that is I started a personal YouTube channel. And I did some things on Pinterest, and I started building my Instagram community and my Facebook community, which is cool because they link together. So it's like kind of just doing 2 for 1. And then the way my business works, I also decided to dive into LinkedIn as well, because I needed to kind of like be forward facing with marketing agencies, CEOs, stuff like that. So I kind of saw this on the horizon anyways, and I wanted to protect myself and my business and again my people. So I did what I needed to do to get into other places. Okay, so I say all of that because I want you guys to not be scared of a potential TikTok ban, but then really use this time to your benefit and use it to do what I did and pick another platform that makes sense and keep doing what you're doing on TikTok. If you still, have access to the app, unlike me, keep doing what you're doing. But know that any of these apps, including Etsy, by the way, can literally be taken away from us at any given time. So what can we do to put ourselves in the driver's seats and feel like we have some, control of sorts here, some semblance of control? Basically just allowing ourselves to be in the places where our people are. Okay, so I say all of that to let you know that TikTok is really, really good. When the app is working for me, it's really, really good for organic reach, discoverability, and virality. So this is basically going to allow you, like we said earlier, what are your goals? If your goals are exposure and reach, this is going to be a really, really good one to play with because it's really all about discoverability. And you get sent, if you have a TikTok account right now and you've ever had a video go viral, or you've even had a video like hit 500 views or more, if you go into the analytics of those videos and you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see FYP versus followers versus there's something else, and I can't remember the exact word. Again, I don't have it anymore, so I can't access it right now. But if you'll see that the vast majority of the people who saw that video came from the FYP line. So it's going to be like FYP, your followers, and like one other thing. And this one is probably going to be the highest. And that is why TikTok is really, really good for discoverability, because it is actively sending you out to more people outside of the people who you were currently influencing. Okay, hope that makes sense. So obviously this is going to be really good for short form videos. And it's also, I think last year increased some people, I don't know if everybody has this, but some people up to the 10-minute mark. So you literally could make like a YouTube video technically on TikTok as well. However, as it relates to what they favor, so that you can make the decision on whether or not this is a good place for your business, they favor watch time and they favor frequent posting. So if you are more one of those people, kind of like myself, who really likes to post like 4 to 5 times a week, TikTok might not be the place for you. If you are looking to convert at a very high percentage, TikTok also might not be the 100% best place for you, depending on what you're selling, of course. That might be more so for Instagram, right? So just figuring out, again, what are your overarching goals and what is the lifestyle that you are trying to achieve as well. Both of those need to be thought about. And that's why I'm giving you all of these very in depth so that you can make that decision for yourself. All right. The next one is Pinterest. So that's going to be, in my opinion, Pinterest, YouTube, and Google are going, and that's not social media necessarily, but I'm going to say it because they're all search engines. So they're less social media platforms, more search engines. So these are evergreen content. This is basically something that can be alive for literally ever and be discovered for literally ever. So all of those videos that you made on TikTok last year is going to be so rare that someone finds that video again by happenstance. If they decide to follow you, TikTok's algorithm might propose that content to them. So they might be able to see it, but they also might not, especially if they don't know you yet. TikTok is really all about the next post. Instagram is all about the next post. YouTube and Pinterest, however, with the right SEO strategy, with the right content that you're putting out there, can literally be found forever. So like something you posted 6 years ago could still be going viral right now, could still be landing you sales right now. So I like to say that these places are really good for people who have something that can stand the test of time. So for example, let's just say that you are teaching people how to crochet. I'm really into crocheting right now, even though I can't figure it out to save my life, but I like how other people are doing it. Like, I made this chunky knit blanket the other day. As you can see, it is an epic fail, but nonetheless, I tried. So I'm really, really into understanding it right now. And I'm into watching the videos of people teaching me how to make a chunky knit blanket and miserably failing in my home office. If you have something like that, where people are wanting to learn, people are needing to watch, or people are wanting a tutorial or something like that, that is going to do very, very, very well on these platforms. On the other side, if you are someone who offers a lot of freebies or offers a lot of lead magnets, like we've discussed in the past, to get people on your email list or to get people excited about what you offer in general, whatever, that is a really, really good place to put, or those are really good things to put on Pinterest. Because again, those stand the test of time. They are literally doing the work for you in the background forever. So that's what I personally believe are going to make the most sense on those. And last but not least is going to be Facebook. The good news about Facebook / Meta / whatever we're calling it nowadays is it connects. If you have a Facebook business page, not a personal page, a business page, it can connect directly to your Instagram account and you can literally repurpose. So you can do double the amount in one fell swoop, right? But then you also have the ability of doing Facebook groups as well, which is really helpful. So if you can get into Facebook groups where your people are. So if you, let's say you're selling, I'm just really making this up as I go. Let's say you're selling like farm supplies or farmhouse decor or something that's more like kind of country oriented. And you get into like homestead Facebook groups or people that like I'm actually in a lot of these Facebook groups, to be honest. It's like people who make sourdough bread from scratch. Then it takes them like a year to do it. Those are Facebook groups. And that's where people are actively going to kind of get into the homestead, natural, holistic way of living. If you have products that make sense for those people, Facebook groups might be a really good place to be. And also repurposing that to your Facebook business page, because people are probably going to like find you and want to like refute you. Are you real? Should I trust you? And then they're going to have something else to fall back on through your business page. What I don't want you guys to do here, though, is get into a bunch of Facebook groups and just start spamming them because that's going to get you kicked out of the Facebook groups, unfortunately. But really what we want to do is basically the same way that we are going to understand our audience. And we did that homework last week of understanding them, knowing what their likes and dislikes are, knowing the verbiage that they need to be spoken through in order to like feel seen, feel related to, feel like they want to be a part of your brand. Since we did that internal work, and we know those answers, it is now time to be able to turn it into content. And that is also what can be done in Facebook groups. So there is a tactful way to be able to do all of these things in places where you might not already be, but also in all of the places that you are. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about the rest of the time. I wanted to spend a good amount of time, though, talking about basically like when you were trying to figure out what your goals were and where you wanted to be. I wanted the beginning of today's training to hopefully either confirm or deny that for yourself, and then also be able to give you a good roadmap of which one you should start with or which one you should stay on if you're already doing the bulk of this. Okay, so let's move on from that into the next place. Oh, so this is something I totally forgot about this. This is something that actually is going to be really, really helpful for you guys as you are deciding which one to move forward with or which ones make the most sense for you. So the first one that I want to hit on is Instagram Reels used to be, which they're, the videos like we talked about a second ago, they used to be 90 seconds, so a minute and a half. But ironically, on the day that the TikTok ban happened, which granted it only lasted 14 hours, but it happened to all of us, right? On the day that happened, Instagram announced that, or Meta announced, the Instagram Reels are now 3 minutes in length rather than a minute 90, or a minute 30. So that is another really cool thing for us because it also shows that Instagram is trying to basically, to be honest, replicate TikTok, in my opinion. But TikTok was replicating YouTube. So it's like everyone is kind of like taking little pieces of the pies that are working for each of the individual platforms. So knowing that Instagram is seeing that longer form videos, they're placing value in it, or else they would have never increased to 3 minutes. They would have kept it at 90. I remember back in the day, it was like 60 seconds was as high as you could go on Reels. And I say back in the day, like just a couple years ago. Now they've moved it to 90. Now they've moved it to 3 minutes. So this like scaling system is telling me, and should also be telling you, that Instagram is doing one of two things. Either they are testing that not like 30 minutes, but longer form content on Instagram is going to do well or not. So they're either testing that and then they're going to remove it one day, or they are letting us know that longer form videos are going to get you seen. So if you have the ability to do a longer form video, and I don't care, by the way, guys, if you are selling apparel and you're like, how in God's green earth do I do that for 3 minutes? You can just be a person and get on social media and talk about your business. You can talk about your dreams for the business. You can talk about the things that you overcame in the past, like create a genuine connection with people through social media. And then they will want to buy your shirts. They will want to buy your hats, right? So it all really comes from learning about you, and the products come second. I hope you guys obviously love EverBee. I hope you guys love the product itself, but I really hope and think that you guys love the community. I think that you love all of the free resources that we give you guys. Like, it really is about community first and product second for us. So I think we should apply that same knowledge and framework to yours as well. Okay. Anyways, I do that a lot, sorry. So the next one is Instagram carousels are also, again, like I mentioned earlier, hook, meat and potatoes, actionable CTA. When they are done right, those are driving a lot of engagement right now. So I want you to be very cognizant of those, and I want you to study what your competitors on Instagram are doing in the carousel space, because that might be something that you can easily start creating on Canva and not even ever have to go on video. So if video is stopping you from starting, that might be a really, really good and easy fix, okay? Also, another thing that happened, like, I want to say 2 weeks ago or so, YouTube Shorts as well. So basically YouTube Shorts, it's a kind of a funny story. So Instagram Reels was a feature that was created in answer to TikTok, just in general, TikTok videos, right? So when they saw that that was doing really well, Instagram was like, oh crap, we got to do that too. So Instagram Reels was an answer to TikTok. And then YouTube Shorts came out quite literally like 3 to 6 months later. And that was an answer to the success that the other two platforms had seen with short-term videos. Then TikTok was like, okay, well, y'all are going to copy me, so I'm going to bump mine to 3 minutes, and then I'm going to bump mine to 10 minutes. And I'm like, I'm coming for you, YouTube. Like, we're going to have long form on TikTok now. And then Instagram was like, all right, TikTok, I see you. I'm going to move my rook up, and we're going to go 3 minutes. And YouTube did the exact same thing. So the good news is, if you're already on YouTube and you were not utilizing shorts in the past, you should be. And you can do them longer than you originally could. They used to be 60 seconds. Now it's 3 minutes. And this just happened a couple weeks ago. So it's a really, really, really good opportunity. Like, all of these updates are great for you guys. They're only going to help us. So it's, if you've never done social before and you've been interested in getting into it, or if you have been doing social before, but you weren't really like where you wanted to be strategy and process wise, all of these updates are actively going to help us. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew about those before you started creating content. And then my takeaway from all of this, 20 minutes of the beginning of this training is, where do you see yourself naturally thriving as a person, as a creator, as a business owner? And then also thinking about, where can you commit long term? Because what I don't want you guys to do is make some YouTube videos and then fall off the face of the earth. And I don't want you to make this awesome TikTok, videos for like 2 weeks and then ghost, because the algorithm is not going to like you then. It's going to be very, very hard to come back. And your business deserves more than that. So what is going to make sense for your lifestyle? What is going to make sense for your overarching goals of your business? And then what is going to make sense for you? Okay, like how you can commit and how you can show up, like we talked about last week. All right, let's move on. So the next thing I want to talk about is, okay, so we know, theoretically speaking, after what we just talked about, we kind of have an idea of where we want to be. Kind of have an idea of what platform is going to make the most sense for us as creators, based on, again, what we want to do, what our goals are, etc. So now it's like, okay, what do I put on any of these, right? So I'm going to basically show a couple of different things that I personally use in my own business, and that you guys can use as well, no matter literally what you're selling. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if you're in the apparel space, if you're in the teaching space, if you are in the digital product space, literally doesn't matter. All of these can be applicable. So the first one is going to be like authority or authoritative content, product content, engagement content, and conversion content. So theoretically speaking, every single week, I'm literally giving you guys a full-blown like 30-day content calendar, because all you have to do is basically do these every week, okay? So you basically have to figure out what is going to make sense under these 4 pillars for your business. So a couple things for authority, it's all about establishing trust. So you could do social proof, you could do educational things, you could do tutorials, you could do behind the scenes, and also, like we talked about a second ago, you can show up as human, you can be vulnerable, you can be raw, you can maybe show them the good and bad of the business, like all the different things that are going to make you a relatable and trustworthy human and also business owner, which potentially could lead into a trustworthy product, okay? Product content obviously is going to be things about the product, but we have to do this in a way that is very tactful. It's very Like it doesn't feel salesy. It feels like it's like a natural answer to my problems, your product, especially in the way that you're presenting it to me. So a couple of different things that I've seen here that work really well are like demos, like just straight up be like, this is an awesome 2025 bucket list calendar I bought from TikTok Shop actually. And I literally have done different things myself. So you can see like little X's that have been crossed off or little highlighters that I've done. And so I could easily, if I was selling this, I'm not, but like if I was the person that did this, I would talk about how I drew each of these things out. I would talk about why I chose them and why, like, go for a brisk morning walk, which you can see is crossed out because I do that often, not right now because of all the snow. But go for a brisk morning walk. Look, that is something that helped me when I was struggling. And I thought it might help you guys as well. Whatever, right? If I was the artist of this product, that is how I would talk about the product in a way that made you want to buy it, but not in a way that was salesy. It wasn't like, please go purchase this. It's in my bio. You know what I mean? So there's different ways that you can approach product-based content, okay? Engagement content. Again, the goal here would be shares and saves. So I want you guys to do a little bit of homework. And I know I keep giving you guys homework, but it's a fun exercise. If you go into the last 5 things that you either saved or shared with someone else. So you can go into your own Instagram account, you can go into, your screenshots, whatever. And you can go into like the messages that you've sent other people. If you can go into those and you can be like, I saved this for this reason. Write that down. And then I sent this thing to my mom for this reason. Write that down. I would be very, very interested to see what your answers were. And then here's the kicker. Let's do that too. Okay? So like did you send it to your mom because it was funny? Did you send it to your sister, which I do often? Like me and my sister are just like living on meme sharing. That's like what our entire life is now. Is like I just send her things that relate to what we are currently going through, or things that we like laugh together about. Like, oh, sorry, I had to bend over to get my phone. I'm going to share one with you because it's freaking hilarious. And it was something that I think like I would absolutely share again. Let me see if I can find it real fast enough on this training without making you guys wait on me. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So it says, literally, you can see I literally sent this to my sister. It was just a little meme. It was just like a little text-based meme. We should all start texting each other like old-time explorers. Dearest friend, I have survived another week and the horrors persist. And that just made me laugh my butt off. And I had to send it to my sister because first of all, it was relatable. It was something that me and her kind of already do anyways. So it made a lot of sense for me to ship that to her, okay? So I want you guys to do the exact same thing. Look at the last 5 things that you have either saved to your own device for future reference, whatever it is, and then think about the things that you have also sent to other people. And figure out the reason why. Was it relatable? Was it hilarious? Did it make you feel seen? Did it make you laugh? Did you learn something? Figure out what that is. And then we are basically going to take that and apply that same tone, that same concept, that same approach to our individual, product promotions or engagement content, whatever, okay? Conversion content, last but not least, is obviously going to be making sales, right? So it's about converting. And the good news here is you can do this in a bunch of different ways, okay? So it doesn't have to be just a feed post and be like 50% off everything. Like, yes, that potentially could drive some stuff, but only if you already have a loyal buyer list. So like people are actively like on the hunt that there's 50% off. If that's not the case yet, you can do things in your stories. You can talk about how you only have one of these items left. Like, let's just say this guy. So I've got 2 of these left. They are hand painted. By the way, you guys should totally look this girl up. I'm just going to shout her out. I don't know her name, but find this. I love this thing and I will talk about it all the time. So if I were her, I would go on live or I would go on my story and be like, handmade, hand painted. I got 2 of these left before I start the next batch. You can grab them here, click the link, grab the bio link, link in bio, whatever. So that is one way that we can like easily do conversion content in a way that again doesn't feel super salesy. Okay. And then I also just do like a 70 20 10 rule. You guys do not have to do this again based on what you are looking to do in your business. But when we did 70 20 10 a second ago, it was like the split of content types. But this time I'm going to talk about like the content topics, like the overarching pillars, if you will. So 70% should and could just be value content. So it is basically just helping that person on the other end, whether that be educational, depending, of course, on what you're selling, whether it be relatable, whether it be funny, entertaining, motivational, whatever. It should just be valuable to them in whatever way makes sense for your brand and your end product. Then we want 20%, give or take, of product and sales content, but again, doesn't feel salesy. So the same way that I basically was like, I chose this while I was dealing with this, right? And it makes sense for you guys, it feels relatable, etc. And it's still indirectly selling my product, right? Then it should be 10% direct promotional content. So for 10% of your time, whatever your time is, should be based around hard selling. Okay, hope that makes sense. All right, let's get into the link in bio now. So this is something that a lot of people, I mean like millions of us, we were like conditioned to do. Just go to my link in bio and you can find it in the link in bio. And that has been since proven to actually hurt us. And that's frustrating because we were like conditioned by the apps to do it. And then the apps were like, LOL, we don't like when you do that. So we're going to literally block your content from being seen. And I know this from experience because I did a little bit of a exercise myself. I fell on a sword for you guys. I was on TikTok, and when I had the app, unfortunately, I was on TikTok and I literally wrote link in bio as a caption. Okay. Like I put that being like link in bio, go grab the guide or whatever it was. And then I asked my husband to open up the post that we're talking about. So on his TikTok account, and my comment was literally nowhere to be seen. But it's my husband. So imagine if someone who is just a random For You page person, they're not going to see that either. So unfortunately, these apps conditioned us to use that, and then they deconditioned us because they basically are like, just kidding, that's aggressive. And we are not trying to be a sales-based platform. We want to be a social platform. So we're actually going to block people from even seeing that word. So you might have, without even knowing it, you might have seen the transition of people using the link emoji in bio. Or you might have even seen things like how to use certain auto DM features where someone will say, comment X for whatever, like comment this keyword and I will send you whatever it is. So there's a lot of different ways that have come out to make it a little bit easier to not go the link in bio route. So we'll talk about how to do the auto DM feature in a second, but I really want to talk really quickly about also what should be in your bio. So a lot of people that I've seen, which can hurt you a lot, is they will just straight up put their Etsy link, their Etsy shop link, or they'll put their Shopify shop link or whatever it is. And they'll just pop that and that's like the link. So it's like taking you straight to a storefront. And while that is fine, it can do a couple of things or not do a couple of things. There's like action and inactions here. So the first thing it's going to potentially do is bring an influx of traffic that does not convert. And that can hurt, first of all, the Etsy algorithm in general. So it would basically be like, if a lot of people are coming, but not a lot of people are buying, Etsy's going to be like, I don't think I should be sending people to this because no one's like the traffic isn't converting. For a Shopify seller or anyone else for that matter, who just sells on a standard, storefront website, it also like messes up your analytics. So it's really hard to go back and make data-driven decisions for the month if you see you received all of this traffic, but then minimal sales. It's really hard to attribute what actually worked and what didn't, right? So what I don't want you guys to do is just put that link as the only location where someone can engage with you further. What I would recommend doing instead is choosing a smart link provider. I don't care who you choose. I have a couple of them listed here. You can choose whatever makes sense for you. There are free options, there are paid options. It really just depends on what makes sense. So choose it, and I don't care which one. But what we're going to do here is basically make sure that it matches the rest of your stuff. So I'm actually going to show you guys mine real fast, just so you can see what I mean. Maybe let me see if I can share. It's going. I promise it's going. Here we go. Oh, hold on. Let me go to my profile. Okay, so this is my Instagram, for example, and you'll see that I haven't made any changes, but there's supposed to be a very particular blue color, and that's like the color of my brand, right? And then if we go right here, you'll be able to see once I share the right tab. Hey, we're in the right place. All right, so you'll be able to see that blue start to appear again, right? And then you'll also see the same fonts kind of start to appear. So this is supposed to be helping us create an omni-channel, that's what you'll see right here, creating omni-channel consistency. So basically, if someone were to go to your bio, your link in bio that you have self-curated, and there's just like random things that don't make sense to them, or if you give them too many options, confused buyers don't buy, confused clickers don't click, and they'll just get out of it. So trying to make it very consistent, trying to make it a perfect buyer's journey based on what we talked about last week. So I'm going to scroll back up to that. Let's go right here, right? So we talked about the sales funnel last week and the buyer's journey process and the stages that they consciously or unconsciously go through. And by doing so, we know each of these individual things. They don't know that we know, but we do because you're on this call, right? So while we're seeing these, we have to be able to create things that meet them at all of these different locations. So again, I will just show you mine really fast just so we can have an exact example. So the first thing that you'll see in mine, usually it's like mobile, so it's usually just one column, but desktop looks a little weird. The first thing that you'll see is a YouTube video that makes sense for my ideal buyer. So it's a free resource that they could just go in there and then learn from me further, engage with me further. All right. The second thing is an external link. You can see 6-figure business bundle. It's an external link. Actually, I'll scroll down a little bit. Both of these. So best business year yet and 6-figure UGC business bundle. Both of those are paid opportunities, but they're very small. It's like $7. Okay. So it's like you get all of these resources for less than $10. So my business is still doing what it needs to do, but I'm giving you all of these resources almost barely for anything, right? So those are other opportunities for them to get more from me, but not have to give too much more. Okay. So we are up here with awareness, and then we're in here very intentionally creating sort of the the discovery and evaluation phase. So people are basically determining whether or not they believe working with me makes sense in whatever capacity. So I am starting at the awareness stage by making content on Instagram in the first place. And then I am also, when they go to my bio, they are getting another free resource. So like we talked about a second ago, 70% value. And then they can get into paying a little bit, but even so, it's a no-brainer amount. So they're getting even more value without having to dish out much more, right? And then we scroll down a little bit more, you're going to see another free resource, but then you're going to see some paid opportunities that are getting them more in my circle. So those are going to be the intent phase, the purchase phase, etc. So I wanted to just quickly show you a quick example in real time of what I actually do in my own business so that you guys can figure out how you want to do it for the things that you are selling. So our link in bio, just to quickly recap, because I said a lot there, our link in bio should not just be our storefront, but instead it should be us knowing our person like the back of our hand and being able to meet them where they are at each and individual stage of their journey. Okay. Last up here with the link in bio kind of stuff is we don't want to say link in bio. First of all, I have proven to you guys that it literally doesn't work. So don't say that because they might not see it, but also don't say that in general because we want to really make them take an actionable action. So instead of just like very passively saying, go to my link in bio, I mean, that technically is an action, but it's more so like you're not really giving them a reason, right? So instead, we need to alter that verbiage a little bit and say, DM me my guide to get my free checklist. You could say something like, comment yes if this resonated with you, or save, because we talked about a second ago, share with someone, like those actionable things that are making someone feel like they are being asked to take an action, rather than just head up here because and do the link in bio, because that is only benefiting you, that is not benefiting them, right? So we have to figure out, how do we speak about things in a way that is benefiting the end person? Okay, hope that makes sense. Let's keep going. All right, so now the next question is, okay, Leslie, you just showed me examples for your business. Awesome. How the heck do I do it for mine? Right? So, how to create freebies or lead magnets that actually drive people to want to do them. Okay. So, this is again, this can be literally applied to every single business here. I do not care what you are selling. You can do all of these, I swear, because I've done it in multiple capacities. I've done service, I've done digital, I've done product, I've done freelancing, I've done physical products, literally anything. So you can take these concepts and apply them to any business, any product, whatever you're selling. Okay, keep that in mind. So, what makes a strong lead magnet first and foremost? So, when we say lead magnet, by the way, if you do not know what that word is, I'm going to explain it first because the rest of this will not make sense. A lead magnet is, just imagine a magnet, right? So, like, we want to attract, we want to magnetize, we want to bring people in, and we want them to be leads, and we want them to be qualified leads, and we want them to be people that maybe one day might purchase from us. So that is a lead magnet, is the resource, the tool, the template, the activity, the exercise, the video, whatever, to magnetize that lead to our business. Okay, lead magnet, very easy. What makes a strong lead magnet? So we're thinking about the strongest magnet in the world. What are we thinking? What is going to create that? It's going to be something that gives them a quick win very immediately. It's also going to be very easy to access. So there's going to be a low barrier to entry for it. And that could be in the form of a low ticket offer. So, like my $7 thing from a second ago, or it could be as simple as, this is a free resource, and all you have to do is click this button and give me your email. Very, very low friction, but it's still very valuable, right? The third thing is going to be highly relevant. So, again, let's say my end goal, it's not, but let's just say it is, my end goal is to get 10 one-on-one clients a month. How do I do that? That's like, because what I told you guys to do last week was, the exercise is, what are your overarching goals for your business, right? So let's just say that my goal is 10 one-on-one clients a month. How do I go out and get those people? I can't just start beating down doors and being like, do you want to work with me? That they don't know who I am, right? So I have to find ways to first get them to know me. So that's going to be the awareness phase. That's going to be the content that we discussed. That's going to be the authority content, the product talking about without selling it content. All of those different things are going to happen up here in the awareness stage. And then I am going to start giving them lead magnets that get them even more engaged with me. So that's what I just showed you on my own link in bio tool, is I basically was like, I want to get, again, I don't, but let's just say I did. I want to make this goal of 10 one-on-one people. So they're going to need to go through all of these different things to get here. Or maybe they love me enough on Instagram and they know they want to work with me and they relate to me, blah, blah, blah. And they just jump all of those steps and go straight to the one-on-one. That's fine too. And that happens often, but it starts with the awareness-based content to get people to even know who the hell you are and know what you're selling and know why what you're selling is going to help them. And then over here becomes a lot easier. So what is your overarching goal? If your overarching goal is to make sell 20 t-shirts a month, cool, sounds good. We need to talk about those t-shirts like crazy, and we need to talk about them in a way that is going to be relatable to someone. It's going to be a funny slogan. It's going to be a pop culture reference without, impeding on IP issues. But we need to basically be putting those out there as much as possible in a way that gets people to us. So then when we think about lead magnets for those, it could simply be as easy as, and low friction, obviously, it could be as easy as join my newsletter for weekly discounts. Like whatever you want to come up with. It does not have to be as structured as mine was. It doesn't have to be a freebie. It doesn't have to be a free guide or a YouTube video. It doesn't have to be any of that. It could be as simple as getting someone into your home base so that you can then retarget them when you have a new product drop that makes sense for them. Okay. Here are obviously some other additional examples that I kind of came up with was for our digital sellers. You could do a free printable Canva template, something that again makes sense to your overarching goal of the big thing you are trying to sell. So it's like a small version of that, right? And it gives them a quick win, okay? The other thing could be for handmade sellers, again, like we discussed, it could be an exclusive discount code, could be as simple as the lead magnet is. So give me your email and I'll give you 40% off your next offer. That's it, right? Very, very simple, very low friction. And it's a quick win because they're getting something out of it, right? For apparel, kind of like what we talked about a second ago, if you're selling a bunch of t-shirts, you're like, how in the world do I make a lead magnet around that? You could do a fall season or seasonal style guide, a winter style guide, a gifts to give moms on Mother's Day. Like you could be doing that literally right now to promote your stuff. Okay, hope that makes sense. Let's move on. The next thing we're going to talk about is caption. So now that we know where we want to be, we know what we want to promote, and we know like how we want to like get the content out there. The next thing is the caption. So how are we going to also basically perpetuate what we put in our stuff, in our content, in the caption? So I like to say there's a 3-part formula here, and it's almost like the exact same 3-part formula for the carousels we talked about earlier. So we've got the hook, we've got the meat and potatoes, and we've got the call to action. And the good news about captions is they can fluctuate. They can fluctuate in size. They can fluctuate in purpose. So like if you are wanting someone to visit your link in bio, for example, like that could be what it does. Another thing it could be is it simply could just be like comment X and give me your opinion or share this with a friend. Like all of these different things could be the what to do next, the next actionable thing. And it can also be, like I said, short or long or medium length. Just be advised, I think it's like a 2,000 character limit on most social media platforms, so don't go too long. But a lot of people on Instagram, especially when those shorter style videos were doing really, really well, there was actually like a lot of people that were doing really long captions, really short videos. And it was intentional because the video would just be looping and playing and playing and playing while someone was reading the long caption. But the point is the caption has to be impactful and it has to be valuable and it has to give more than we are asking to receive in return. Okay. So quick examples. If you feel like blank, you're not alone. Here's how I fixed it. That's a really, really good example of like how to hook them immediately. And then you go into it. And then the call to action could be, again, a number of things. But if we're talking conversion content, you could be like comment guide for the exact step-by-step plan in depth, something of that nature. Raise your hand if blank. Relatable moment related to your products, related to your audience, because we did the exercise on them last week, right? So we know how to relate to them. Here's what I learned, value, right? So those are a quick different examples of how you can apply it to your own business. And then of course, trying to make it as choppy as possible, because this should not be a blog by any means. It should be something that is very high impact, but requires low effort on their part. All right, let's keep going. All right, so the last thing I want to show you guys, not the last thing, but like the last thing regarding captions is automating engagements with auto DMs. So I mentioned this earlier, and this is something that it does cost money, obviously. So you would have to figure out if that makes sense for your business, but there is something that allows you to actually like make money on autopilot, like even when you're sleeping, or to get leads while you're sleeping, or have people download your freebies while you're sleeping, whatever it is. And it's through an auto DM feature. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Instagram is also in the process of going to start offering this, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. But there are a couple of companies that do it. So I'm not going to tell you to go with any company. I'm not going to lead you in a direction by any means, but I am going to just show you what it looks like and see if it's something that makes sense for you. Okay. So here's a quick example of one of mine. So you'll see this video over here on the left-hand side, and then you'll see, let me zoom in a little bit. You'll see this right here, comment PCCA to learn more about the Paid Content Creator Academy. So that is a very intentional call to action in my particular Instagram post. And it's because it automatically adds them to this funnel. So this happens on the back end with the thing that I'm currently using. So user replies to, in this case, story or Instagram post, whatever it is. So they reply to it with this right here. So the trigger that I required them to comment, they put that comment, then they get added to this funnel. Okay. So then it goes like, if this, then we, okay? So then I have a message that automatically gets sent to them, and you'll see that there's 5 sent out, 100% open, 100% clicked, which is kind of cool. And then you can click this button right here. It's kind of weird that it says the click-through rate is 20% though, because it says 100%, but you know, that's moot. But anyway, so we're basically going to be like, okay, I'm glad that you're interested in purchasing this t-shirt. I'm glad that you're interested in learning more about how to crochet, whatever it is. You're going to have that here. And then there's going to be a link that takes you to the right place. Then I personally do a little bit of a smart delay. You don't have to do this, but it basically is like, if within 24 hours they do not make a purchase or they do not click through to this and do what they're supposed to based on the funnel, then I actually have an audio recording that I send them, okay? And that's gonna be like, hey, looks like you haven't done this yet. I wanna help you out, let's chat, whatever. And then another 24-hour delay. And then the last one is basically another freebie. So if they still haven't purchased yet, I am giving them an additional free training, okay? So this is all very intentional. It's all very purposeful. And I want you guys to see that this could be something that could be done in your sleep. Like I build these things and then the things do them for me. Okay. So this is something that maybe you guys could look into if you are struggling with time. Like I said, the whole goal of this is the perfect social media or content marketing guide for e-commerce owners who are low on time. So this is a way to hopefully overcome that time constraint. Okay, hope that makes sense. All right, so the next thing I want to get into, I know we're almost done, I promise. I hope you guys are still with me. I know it's already been 50 minutes. But the next thing I want to get into is what I call a DWM. And this is something that I learned in my corporate life. So if you guys are familiar with DWMs, this is basically a daily, weekly, monthly. So when you go into a job or when you go into a role or you're an entrepreneur, theoretically speaking, we should all have daily, weekly, monthlies of like non-negotiables. These things have to happen to keep the business afloat. Same thing if you're in corporate, if you're in a 9-to-5, whatever it is. So I decided to give you guys a daily, weekly, monthly checklist for your own social media success. And in the comments of this video or the description of this video, you will find this PDF. So you don't need to write all this down. You don't need to memorize all of this. You are going to have the full 22-page free resource, and you can come back and pause and replay this video or last week's video as much as you need to make sure that you got it for your own business. So let's go over the daily task first. These are things that I personally do in my own business, and I just put weekdays only are fine. You do not have to do this on the weekends. I do not do social media on the weekends at all. Like very, very, very rarely do I ever do that. So we want to reply to DMs and comments every day. And that's just because we're trying to build community. We are trying to keep social, right? We also want to engage with followers, comments, likes, shares, etc. So if you have anybody that you are following yourself and they also follow you, or maybe their story pops up on Instagram, whatever it is, just spend a couple minutes engaging with them and showing Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, that you actually give a crap about anybody outside of yourself on their platform. Okay, it's really, really going to help you. Then I also highly recommend, it's completely up to you, of course, this does take a little bit of time, but I highly recommend posting 10 comments on different pieces of content that makes sense for your niche. So let's go back to the homestead concept from earlier. If you can go out and find other homestead Instagram accounts that are bigger than you, or maybe just even, comparable to you, or Facebook groups like we discussed earlier, commenting on those to gain exposure for your own business. But what I don't want you to do is just like an emoji or like, this was awesome. Like make it valuable, make it intentional, make it purposeful. That's kind of the mantra of the training today, is make it like you actually care about what they're posting because you want people to actually care about what you're doing. Okay. Then I would also recommend doing at least one story or a story sequence, as well as one piece of feed content. Again, this completely depends on where you chose to be. So, like if you're on YouTube, for example, I would not recommend posting 5 YouTube videos a week. But what I would recommend doing, let's just use EverBee for example, is one pre-recorded video goes live on Tuesdays. One, in this case pre-recorded, but live happens on Thursdays. And then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we also have shorts that go live. So it's like we are actively out there for 5 days a week, even if we are not physically out there, if that makes sense. So it's not a long form video, but we are using the other elements of the platform in order to show up 5 days a week. So the same thing with you guys could be as simple as, let's use Instagram, for example. Let's say you are a little bit scared about video and that's kind of holding you back. Like I said, it's stopping you from starting. What if we did one video a week? What if that was like our goal and that's how we could show up? And that's totally freaking fine. We did one video a week, but then we got on stories every day and we posted one static post a week and we posted one carousel a week. If you do that, you've posted 8 times that week. So I think if we just take a little bit of pressure off of the content calendar and then just stick to a daily, like I should be doing these things, and then turn those things into whatever makes sense for how you can actually show up in your business that day, that is absolutely reasonable and totally perfect for where you're at. Okay. Weekly, I put 1 to 2 hours, give or take. We should be, if you are capable of it and you have the time, this is supposed to be a time saving initiative, right? So I would recommend planning and batching content in advance. So instead of, being like me right now, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm a little frazzled from my morning. So it's 9:20 and I have not posted for my own business today. And that's simply because I'm doing this and I'm getting ready for you guys instead. So I don't want you to be in my position where like in the morning you're like, what do I post? And then that pressure and that like overwhelm of like, I got to do this. And then maybe you don't show up in the right way. We talk about showing up all the time, maybe because of the pressure. And because of the timeline, you didn't show up in the right way. So if we can prep ourselves a little bit, where last week we got this Thursday's content ready, that might be really helpful for you guys. So that's what I recommend doing on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. I also want you guys to look at what your competitors are doing and figure out if there's anything, and not in a way of comparison, because I think we all can very easily get trapped in that comparison kind of cycle. So I don't want you guys to fall into that whatsoever, but I want us to use it as data, the same way that we would go and look at Etsy listings and we would use it as data. I want you guys to do the same thing with your competitors on social. Okay. They're doing something right. Steal like an artist, and don't steal, but you know what I mean? Like just to see what they're doing and how you could potentially add that into your like frame of reference for the next piece of content you make. All right. Then you can also repurpose your own top performing content into different formats. And that's actually going to help you next week with the content that you're batching. Because let's say a reel with a certain concept on Instagram did really, really well last week. And you know that concept could actually be turned into a carousel. Cool. Do it again. And then it's 2 weeks difference. It's gonna be perfect. And then of course I would rank captions and schedule the post out so that you don't have to worry about it. The good news is if you chose Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, literally almost anything except for, actually I think TikTok allows you to schedule them now. I think everything. The answer is like you could do it for free. So if you're thinking about investing into a platform like a scheduling tool, you don't have to. You can if it's easier for you, but you could literally do all of that completely for free within the actual platforms themselves, which is nice. Last but not least, for our last piece of the day is the monthly tasks. So we went over daily, weekly, monthly. Now is I want you to review and adjust. So what went well last month? What didn't go so well? What brought in a lot of leads? What didn't bring in any? And then figure out how we want to move forward for the next month. Also, obviously getting an idea of like what we're looking to sell, like what's the goal of the next month, and then being able to build all of our lead magnets, our captions, and our content around those. Okay. Every month, I also recommend thinking maybe this actually might be every quarter. I wouldn't say necessarily every month, but I didn't do DWMQ, so here we are. Thinking about your pinned post, like what are the top 3 things that people see from you? Thinking about like your link in bio, do you need to do an audit or an overhaul of it? Things need to adjust a little bit based on, again, what you're doing in the following month. And then is there anything in your bio that you need to adjust as well? Maybe you have a new freebie that you're doing next month. Maybe you have a new special that you're spotlighting next month. Making sure that like on a monthly/quarterly basis, we are, acknowledging and making adjustments there as well. Instead of just getting the content ready, we're also laying the foundation on the rest of our profiles before the content even goes live. Okay. Next up, obviously, is creating all of those things. And then again, brainstorming and planning next month's themes is going to be very, very beneficial to get all of this kind of wrapped up in a nice, easy bow for you guys to help, again, save time. So there is still a lot of time dedicated to it, but it's time that you are doing proactively rather than in the moment, which involves a lot of pressure, as you and I both know. So with that said, I don't know how I did it, but I did this under 1 hour. So I'm really hopeful that this was something that was very beneficial to you guys. It's really helpful for your own journey, the content that you're making. If you have any questions about any of this, again, I'm going to link the description in the description. I'm going to give you guys this PDF completely for free so you can go through it. You can mark it up, you can highlight, you can earmark it, dog ear mark it, whatever it's called. Do whatever you need to do to build your plan. And then if you have any questions while you're watching this video, while you're rewatching last week's video, while you're going through the PDF, while you're making your own plan, you know where to find me. Drop any questions in the comments. It is me who is responding to all of those. So feel free, even though we're not live today, I will very much so be getting back to you and giving you what you need in an like personalized kind of strategy. So feel free to do that below. And I thank you guys again for watching this, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you guys.